Hello, my name is Zelmer and I'll be making a series of videos about writing a novel, or more accurately, how I write a novel. I've written 5 so far, published. I've written a few more that haven't been published. Okay, let's get started. Now, this won't be a step-by-step guarantee of how to write a novel. Every writer writes it differently. Just gotta find your own way of writing, the way that feels comfortable. You know, one that is the most productive and works with your particular time schedule. Now, first thing, well, there's not necessarily. The first thing I usually do is usually come up with a character, the main character, usually the situation, the setting. What is the story going to be about? Or sometimes, it's not. Sometimes I start with the character, and sometimes I actually start with the title. It depends on what I want to do. If you're writing, like I am, in a series of each novel covering a certain span of a one character's life, it's easier to think of a title first. But if you're starting a brand new, completely new book, new characters, everything, you might want to think of the story first. Just could be anything, just to get started. Okay, but I usually come up with a title first when I'm thinking, because I'm writing I have 3 series I'm going to write. I have one that's 7 novels in total, and I've written 4 of them. And another one I written my first novel. It's going to be one. It's going to be 4 more in that series, and the one I'm working on now is going to be the first one of 6 novels in the series. And when it comes to titles, I would say don't be committed to it. Be willing to change if you can think of a better title to describe the situation. The most important thing about a title is to grab the reader's attention, because until you're a best-selling author like Stephen King or Dean Koontz or James Patterson, that's what's going to draw the reader's attention. The title. The title and the front cover. But mostly the title is first. That's what's going to grab the reader's eye first. Something interesting, unusual, different. Okay. Let's say you've come up with a title. You have a main character in mind, and you know what the story's about. What do you do then? Well, then is the hard part. You're going to have to actually write it. Now, there's the difference between people who talk about writing and people who actually write. The second people we call writers. Because it doesn't matter how much you talk about writing, unless you are willing to devote the time. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a few hours every single day. That's all you need. As the old saying that used to be, write a page a day, and in a year you'll have a novel 365 pages. That's all you have to do. Just devote a little time, or at least Stephen King suggested in his memoir about writing. Suggested that you set a limit on how many words you want to write that day. And once you get done, when you reach that limit, you're done for the day. I try, when I write the first draft, to write 5 pages. Now, usually, what helps me write those 5 pages, I usually do an outline first. Now, I'm still working with my outline, how to outline, but the one I've come up with so far is I've used in my second novel, third novel, fourth novel, and fifth novel, and the last novel I'm working on now is I take a page and I write. Every page is a chapter. I make 1 page a chapter, and I break down the events, everything that's going to happen, all the characters, the time sequence. The dates are very important to me, because each novel takes place over a certain amount of time. For example, in the first novel, it was from character's age, Miller Hoffman, the main character and the narrator, from 13 to 19. That was the time span. In another one, it only took place over a little over a month. My fourth novel, the distance between, it only took place over from June 23rd to August 1st. much more compressed compared and compared to In the Middle, which took place over 6 years. So you can make it over one single day, as James Joyce did in Ulysses. You can make it over a week, a month, a year, years. It doesn't matter. But you gotta know, at least in my mind, you gotta know when everything is happening. And when I outline, I put chapter 1, that's the first line, and I put the date, June 92. I'll put characters. Who's in this chapter? Who's the important one? Now I'm gonna add minor characters in the story as I write. These are the major characters. I'll put the narrator. If it's the first person in there, he's always in every single scene. That's a given. Third person, a little more flexible. And then location, which is important to keep in mind if your novel takes place over several different settings in several different cities. Like my second novel, Bobby Lamont, took place it had scenes and chapters in Birmingham, Alabama, Washington D.C., New York City. There was a couple in Alexandria, Virginia, and Phoenix, Arizona, Fayetteville, Arkansas. So I had to keep track of where of each location. I always put location, and I put pages 1 to 5, 6 to 10, and then I break it down. Page 1, this is what happens. And I do about a paragraph. Page 2, this is what happens. Page 3, this is what happens. Page 4. I'm going to experiment a little bit this time on my next novel and just put pages and then start writing like a paragraph at a time. Now that's what I do. I outline first. The way I think of outlining is as a guide, as a map. I know usually when I start, I have a vague idea how the story's going to end, but it's not set in stone. And sometimes the lines will occur. A lot of times, I'm thinking, I'm going to start. I need at least an opening. How is this going to start? I usually like to go with the one line opening, the hook, that just boom, sets you off in action. For my second novel, for my first novel, I think if I can remember, the opening line was, for most of my life, I wanted to be like my father, and it goes on from there. And usually, when I come to the first draft, when I start writing, I'll try to think, okay, what's the last line going to be? Is it going to be a reflection of the first line, or is it going to be in total opposition from the first line? How has this main character changed from the beginning to the end? I think in all my novels, all the characters change, especially the main characters. They change somehow. They've realized things. They've grown as people, and that's how you do it. That's how I do it anyway. So right now I'm going to start outlining I said what's going to be my 7th novel, and sometimes I do a chapter a day, just one day. Sometimes if I feel a little compressed, I might try to do just a couple pages and say, okay, this is chapter 1, just chapter 2, chapter 3, and keep in mind vaguely as I'm going, how's the story going to end? Who are the other characters in this? How are they going to reflect on the main character? How are they going to interact with the main character? How are the interactions between the main character and other characters going to change the main character? And what's going on? What is the changes? What are the obstacles the main character is going to have to overcome? What are the challenges they're going to have to face? What are the revelations they're going to find out? Not only about themselves, but about others. Okay, this video's getting long. Try to make it another one. Okay, to wrap it up, before you even start the first draft, you need to think of the title, main character, what's the story about, and where's it setting, and then outline. I'm getting things up outline. It can be a very rough outline, or it can be very detailed outline. The choice is yours. An outline is just kind of a map of your journey of writing a novel. It's going to give you a guide so you don't get wandered off. You don't wander off on a tangent as you write. You kind of keep to the main, to the plot line of the story that you're writing. You keep to it. You might stop and add little things as you go along, but you keep going. You'll be able to keep going toward the end. And that's how I write a novel.